Motivation and Psychology in Telekinesis. Motivation is everything. The word motivation means to stimulate toward action. Without a sense of motivation in mind, we go nowhere, accomplish nothing. At best, we maintain habitual routines and avoid the extra effort needed to try new things and take chances. Why do you want to learn telekinesis? If you don't have a clear answer or can't find the right wording for it, perhaps some of the sample motivations below will help you look within and find those words. I want to be able to do something spectacular, something that few others can do. I believe in mind over matter and want to turn that belief into actual experience. I want to see it with my own eyes. Ever since I was little, I wanted to be a Jedi. Normal meditation techniques are too boring for me. I want to find a more provocative way to be with my body and mind. I disagree with materialistic science, and I think that consciousness is something different than the physical brain. Moving an object from a distance is a possible way to illustrate that consciousness extends beyond physical boundaries. If I can do this, then I know I can do anything I put my mind to. In my own practice and study of Qigong, the movement of Qi is a key principle. Since Qi is everywhere, I'd like to explore that principle through telekinesis experiments. I'm an energy healer. I'd like to see if I can use my intention on things outside of the human biosystem. Can I affect something outside the body? Can I see that influence with my own eyes? I'm aware of concepts like those shared in the movies The Secret, What the Bleep Do We Know, and in books like The Law of Attraction. However, I want an observable method to really show me the power of intention. If I can move a physical object with my mind, then I'll be confident that I can change other aspects of my life by using my mind, particularly my intention, more effectively. I have other psi abilities and want to learn firsthand how telekinesis relates to them and how it can improve my personal development in other areas. I believe that we are all sacred beings, integral aspects of the conscious universe, and as such, we can all experience these abilities to one degree or another. They are not something granted to you by an external authority. Experiencing this will remind me of my own spiritual sovereignty. I keep hearing that the human race is at the next stage of evolution and that more and more people are showing these types of abilities. Maybe it's just because technology allows us to exchange new ideas and methods faster than ever before, and what used to be rare knowledge is becoming well known. Whatever it is, I want to be part of our next stage in the evolution of consciousness. Do any of the above statements resonate with you? You might not have a solid sense of purpose for doing this yet. As you go along, your purpose should become clearer, and it needs to. Without a well-developed motivation, chances are higher that you'll give up without immediate results. If you already know why you're doing this and why it's important to you, then you're off to an excellent start. Even though you're interested in doing this training, parts of your psyche might be in conflict. Think back to when you first considered getting this book. One part of you may have been excited, and another may have been filled with doubt. The emotional blend of hope, doubt, fear, inspiration, and courage is normal for anyone beginning something new and strange. You, as a whole person, are about to change. I recommend making room for all your conflicting thoughts and emotions. Even today, my inner non-believer watches everything I do with my telekinesis research. Its favorite tool is doubt. It doubts that any of this is real and that what I'm doing is worthwhile. Luckily, I was able to express these doubts to my wife. Doing so brought my inner non-believer out of the shadows and into the light. I could acknowledge it when it appeared. With my wife's help, I could even laugh at its persistence, even as I proved it wrong over and over again. I can even extend some gratitude to my inner non-believer because it drove me to keep working harder, growing from level 2 to level 3, then level 4 and beyond to further understand this phenomenon. My inner non-believer still remains a helpful companion. It seems that I can't eradicate it. Since I'd rather be stuck with a friend than a foe, I've made room for it in my mind, and its presence helps me test my limits. There are generally 4 attitudes we carry within ourselves. To put it more accurately, these are 4 default responses that we exhibit when approached by anything that challenges our accepted beliefs about reality. The non-believer I described above is one of them. The other 3 are the skeptic, the pseudo-skeptic, and the believer. It's important for you to learn about them because it's quite possible that all 4 will manifest out loud during your training. They will either help or hinder your progress. This is not only the case with telekinesis, but with any kind of risk-taking that challenges dominant social beliefs about reality and human potential. The word skepticism is overwhelmingly used for a particular one of its various definitions, an attitude of doubt or a disposition to incredulity. The dominant use of this definition has spread into the media and everyday use by the public. Unfortunately, then, when most people refer to themselves as a skeptic, they believe their own opinion, which they passively adopted through social conditioning. They take it to be correct, even without considering the newest data or doing any research themselves. I prefer its other definition, the method of suspended judgment, which is better understood in scientific circles. A true skeptic is a person who is open-minded, who will not take an idea on faith, but instead reviews the available data and forms a decision based on that. If new data becomes available which contradicts the old, the skeptic is willing to change his or her opinion based on that new information. I think of the skeptic as a cool-headed personality, slow to come to decisions and comfortable with uncertainty. The skeptic is in no hurry to come to conclusions because he or she has no personal agenda for the results to prove or disprove a theory. Of the 4 attitudes, the true skeptic is the minority. It's constantly challenged by the believer, the non-believer, and the pseudo-skeptic, which is also a type of believer. The non-believer is unwilling and uninterested in considering any data that might support a change in the status quo. When I started finding telekinesis videos online, the non-believer was there in the back of my mind making remarks like, "Seriously? Are you kidding me? Why are you even watching this stuff? It's not real." When I set up my training area, it made me feel embarrassed with myself for even doing that. It made me paranoid that someone might find out that I was trying this stuff and that they might think I was lost in a fantasy. Every time I had a success, my inner non-believer suggested an alternative explanation, a reason why it couldn't have possibly been my own intention. The believer is like a well-intentioned friend who has faith in you, but has to make up stories to back you up. It's emotional. My believer was there inside me the first time I watched Luke Skywalker pull his X-Wing fighter out of the swamp with Master Yoda's instructions. Do or do not, there is no try. As the chill ran up my spine, I just wanted to believe so badly that this kind of thing could be true. You may really believe that telekinesis is real, but there's one problem. You've never experienced it yourself, and you have no other data to show that it is real. The helpful part about the believer is that it's the reason why you considered this book in the first place. It's the reason you began your search at all. It's the aspect of you that will continue the training even when the non-believer and the pseudo-skeptic are telling you to give up because you're just fooling yourself. When a moment of doubt arises, the believer will keep you going. When your inner believer and non-believer argue, neither truly wins because neither has a basis of proof. It's simply a battle of emotions. For the skeptic, there is no argument. There is only data or no data. So when your inner believer is urging you on with your exploration, daring you to try new things, listen wholeheartedly. Let it fuel your passion. Once you have data, otherwise known as direct experience, you can share it with others if you choose. But do so as a skeptic, not as a believer. Let people make their own conclusions. People who don't want to change their minds about how the world works won't, even when given new information. This brings us to the last of the 4 personalities, the pseudo-skeptic. The pseudo-skeptic is boisterous and a time waster. It claims to be a true skeptic and that its arguments are based on science. For example, it'll say things like, "Science still hasn't proven that ESP is real." Yet the fact is that many published studies over the last several decades do show that people are able to gain information without the use of the five senses. These studies involve double-blind experiments and multiple subjects. A statistical analysis of the results indicates a psi effect far beyond chance, or beyond what most folks call luck. The pseudo-skeptic either is not aware of these studies because it would rather not look, or it's hoping that you're not aware of them yourself and you take its word for it instead. If a pseudo-skeptic encounters data which gives evidence for psi, it will argue that the experiment was flawed in some way, that the results were skewed, or that the researcher is manipulating the data. Then it will discard the results and continue promoting its preferred beliefs. Alternately, if the pseudo-skeptic encounters data that contradicts the possibility of psi, it will defend the study vigorously and refuse to consider any conflicting evidence from other studies. This is not science. This is what Charles Tart, Ph.D., labeled scientism in his book, The End of Materialism. Educating yourself about what studies have actually revealed will help you counter your inner pseudo-skeptic. Information is power. It gives you a sense of conviction. When you learn what others have discovered, you can use those facts to put the pseudo-skeptic to rest. This is also important when people challenge you. The best data is your own personal experience. At the same time, I strongly recommend that you read these 3 books. The End of Materialism by Charles Tart, Ph.D., Supernormal by Dean Radin, Ph.D., and The Reality of ESP, A Physicist's Proof of Psychic Abilities by Russell Targ, Ph.D. These researchers are on the cutting edge of psi research using valid scientific methodology and statistical analysis. They will help you get caught up on what real scientists have learned. You will see that the data shows strong evidence for telekinesis and other phenomena. This should give you much encouragement. Now that you know how to identify your 4 inner personalities, you can put these characters to good use. Assign your inner believer the task of cheering you on to discovery. Let the inner non-believers suggest where you can improve your skill or tighten up an experiment to reduce doubt. The inner skeptic will keep track of what works and what doesn't work based on the results, helping you learn. Your inner pseudo-skeptic will challenge you to educate yourself. The best attitude to take during a training session is that of a skeptic. When you act and feel like a true skeptic, you remain emotionally neutral during the session. This helps you stay relaxed, which you'll learn is vital to success in telekinesis. If, on the other hand, you train like a believer, the emotions of excitement and hope will devolve into impatience, worry, struggle, and defeat. This will only cause stress, which substantially weakens your potential. Let your inner believer fully celebrate after you succeed at moving the object. Celebration is valuable at the appropriate time.